In a SMODE composition, you can create a type of layer called shape layer. This is one of the most powerful objects in SMODE, but you need to understand it. Shape layers are all shapes based on Bezier points. For example, a circle. This circle works on Bezier points. SMODE isn't vector-based, so if I zoom in, I can see the pixels. This shape, this circle, is a layer that will have different options. Its generator, which immediately defines what I'm drawing, a circle. Its placement, its position, its anchor point, its rotation, its scale, which I can modify both in the viewport or in the parameter tab here. I right-click on the 2 arrows to reset the value, like this. And then its renderer. The renderer is what I display of the layer. What do I display from a shape? Two things, two options, the fill inside and the stroke, the outline. Here I have a fill color that I can change to red, a stroke color that I can change to yellow, for example, and I can say that I don't want to show the fill or I don't want to display the stroke. Actually, in the case of the stroke, we also have a thickness and the position of the stroke in relation to the shape. -100 means that I draw inside my shape, and 100 means outside. So now I'm deleting this shape to explain the different types of generators. We can create points on their own. Why not? It can be useful. We can also create lines. These lines are part of the objects we can customize from the viewport. How to do that? Well, simply by switching to Edit mode here, in Edit On, and selecting the points to move, the start and end points of my segment. And then you have shapes, so we've seen the circle, you've also got a rectangle. Let me exit Edit mode. You also have an end side shape, end meaning the number of sides you want for your shape. And you can also generate a star with the number of points and the inner radius. It is also possible to generate text based on shape. In other words, here I'll display my SMODE text and it will be rendered with a fill color and a stroke color. You can also draw your own shape. This works like the Bezier mask. Just create a Bezier shape. Then in the viewport, make sure Edit mode is on and hold down Ctrl to draw your points. You can add curves by holding down Ctrl and dragging and dropping. You can also set up a point that didn't have a curve so that it now has one by selecting it, right-clicking, and selecting Set to Cubic. If you have an SVG file that you'd like to use in your SMODE composition, you can drag and drop it into your composition and import it as a shape. Reference as shape will create a shape layer that will represent your SVG. So here you see I still have my white outlines. And why are they white? Because I'm actually asking it to display the stroke in white, which I can deactivate. You can also import the SVG layers instead of reference. In that case, you'll get a group where you'll find all the sub-Bezier paths of your drawing. By switching to Edit mode, you'll be able to customize them. For example, here I'll be able to modify the nose. Here you can see that when I imported my SVG file into SMODE, it automatically created shapes for me, and these shapes already know that the fill color was this color for the hair, this color for the skin, and here this color for the shadow on my arm. Be careful when importing SVG files that there are not too many effects in them. Not too many gradients, not too many bitmap effects, because SMODE may have problems loading your SVG correctly as an editable shape. Among the layers I can create in the Shapes category, there is this one, the group. The shape group has a role. It's going to group together different shapes that are created within it and make them share the same renderer. For example, here I can create a circle shape and a rectangle shape. And you can see that if I select these two shapes, they have no renderer option accessible here, as is the case for this one. Why not? Because the renderer is defined by the group. Therefore, if I go to the group's renderer option and change the color, the new color impacts both the circle and the rectangle. The same goes for the strokes. If I increase the thickness, they'll be increased both for the circle and the rectangle. And if I play with the position of my contour, it does the same for both. It's also thanks to the group that you can make one shape interact with another using the merger. Here you can see that the rectangle has a merger path through, which means that it will be drawn on top of my circle. I can also change this merger and, for example, set it to replace. So if this one is active, the circle is no longer visible. If it's deactivated, the circle will be visible. It replaces the previous shape. In Add mode, the points will merge to form a new circle plus rectangle shape. On the contrary, Subtract mode gives me this effect. The Intersect mode like this, and the Exclude mode like that. And each of the shapes has a merger opacity that can be accessed here when this panel is enlarged a little, which allows you to animate the transformation from one shape to another. So if I use the Replace merger and I play with the merger opacity of my rectangle, I automatically get a morph between a rectangle and a circle.